Welcome to another episode of Euphoric, the podcast. Guys, I feel like I'm back. I've been traveling a lot. We had a lot of incredible guest episodes. This is my first solo episode in quite a long time. So I'm back, got a new haircut, who dis, and I'm super excited for today's episode. So if you are a longtime fan of Euphoric, or if you're new here, let me explain how things work. I bring together the things that I love as an alcohol-free woman, and so we often talk about changing your relationship with alcohol and the incredible up-level you're going to have in your life as a result of it. I'm obsessed with purpose. I feel like we die on the inside, our souls die when we're not so tapped into the purpose that we came here to this planet to explore. And I love entrepreneurship, right? I'm not going to be an employee the rest of my life. I want to build a vision and a mission that impacts so many lives on my terms. And so we have so many different episodes that kind of weave in and out of these different topics. But today's topic is for my entrepreneurial girlies, or if you are hoping to launch a business, this is some really good information that you're going to plant in your head right now. But actually, as I think of it, this is going to be applicable for way more people than just entrepreneurs as well. So stay tuned because we are talking today about how to quantum leap your career through thought leader positioning. I'm going to give you the 6 metrics that you can use to really quantum leap and what kind of positioning will really establish you as a thought leader in the marketplace. Now, first, let's go with the basics. Because sometimes I hate when you enter into like a new industry or a new world and everybody is saying these words, but nobody actually knows what they really mean. So let's talk about what it actually looks like to be a thought leader. I love this example. Okay, so back when the COVID was really big and then the COVID vaccine came out, I got it pretty quickly because I wanted to travel. So I know that's a very contentious topic, but I was like, get me a ticket back on a plane. I was on one of the first planes back to Europe when Europe opened again. But I remember feeling some pain in my lymph nodes in my armpits. And I got a little concerned. I was like, this was like maybe 6 months after or so. Is this something to be concerned about? Is this something maybe in my breast I should go check out? And so I remember for the first time ever, I went to go talk about my breast health and get a mammogram. And usually you get a mammogram when you're 40. So I think I was like 35 or something at that time. So it was my first mammogram. But anyway, all of a sudden, my life started opening up into really thinking about breast cancer and my breast cancer risk. So I remember I got a book, and the book is called Breasts by Dr. Christine Funk. And she is one of the foremost thought leaders on breast cancer in the world. She not only is a breast cancer doctor and surgeon, but also she is a thought leader on the topic. She writes books about it. She helps people heal and prevent it. Like her whole life is devoted to being the expert on breast cancer, right? Now I'm giving you this weird example. Why? Because let's say, by the way, everything turned out fine. It probably was just a side effect from the vaccine. But if it turned out that I did have breast cancer and you needed to have a surgery, would you want to go to a foremost thought leader who is known in the world as an expert on breast cancer, or would you want to go to just a regular service provider, right? Now, if money wasn't an issue, probably all of us would choose the foremost expert in the world. And that's what thought leadership does, is that when you are a coach or when you are a practitioner or you are a facilitator or you are even an employee, you look like everyone else. You blend in like everybody else, right? If I just wanted a service provider to help me do something in my life, I would probably go with the cheapest option, right? But when you're comparing service providers against thought leaders, now there's a leg up, right? I'm not just looking for any doctor, I'm looking for a thought leader doctor. And if money wasn't an issue, just being honest with yourself, would you rather have a doctor who is an expert in functional medicine and hormone balancing, if that's something you're going through, or just the random doctor that they pair you with your health insurance, right? And that's the difference that thought leadership does. Let's take another example. Let's say you really wanted to heal your subconscious blocks from a car accident that you had when you were 12 years old. Would you want to just look up any Joe Schmo hypnosis practitioner, or would you want to go with the one whose, subliminals you listen to, who you see featured on articles, who you see featured even on TV, right? Again, if money wasn't an issue, you would pick the thought leader every single time. And so there's a huge difference between just being a service provider, just being an ordinary coach, an ordinary practitioner, an ordinary graphic designer, and being the thought leader of it. The thought leader is where you position yourself not only as an expert, but someone who really commands so much more gravitas and attention. Now, here's the thing, is most people think that thought leadership comes as a result of more experience in your career. And in some cases, of course, it does take more experience in your career to be able to have that level of certainty and that level of expertise. But what often people find missing is that they think that they have to wait until they arrive at a certain point in their career in order to start acting like a thought leader. And it's almost as if we're all waiting for Oprah to bless us on our heads, and only then can we start acting like a thought leader. Or only waiting until some certain milestone happens in your business to start acting like a thought leader. Now, thought leader positioning, and I'm going to go over the exact strategies that you can use and apply. Thought leader positioning is something that you don't have to wait for Oprah to do for you. You don't have to wait to be best friends with, Deepak Chopra to start doing. You can start doing it today because basically they're what's called these market signals that you can start implementing in your career so that people start perceiving you as a thought leader way earlier and you get the impact, the abundance, the opportunities, and all the things that happen as a result. So, who are some famous thought leaders? I mean, Tony Robbins comes to mind, right? Oprah comes to mind. Brene Brown comes to mind. Deepak Chopra, Brendan Burchard, Gabby Bernstein. There's so many people who come to mind as thought leaders. And depending on what your niche is, some thought leaders are totally unknown, but in that niche, they're known as thought leaders, right? So they're maybe not famous on the global scale, but once you get into that niche itself, you are recognized as a thought leader in that space, as a foremost leader in that space. And once you're there, there's no competition, right? Like you don't have to struggle to get clients or struggle to make a name for yourself. Like the thought leadership has the gravitas and the certainty for you, right? And sometimes it can be, when you're just starting out in your career, you're in your first year or two in business, it can feel really hard to have that level of certainty and to feel like, oh my gosh, this is going to, how do I differentiate myself in the market? It's so saturated. And feeling also like it's just really hard to eke out any money sometimes in the lifestyle industries, especially. And that's why thought leadership positioning is so, so crucial for you. And I was thinking about this episode and I was like, you know what? This is an episode for my entrepreneurial girls, for my coaches, for all the people who are building businesses out there. And then I stopped myself and I was like, you know what? Thought leadership is paramount for you if you are an employee as well. Because, Sheryl Sandberg came out so strong with this idea of building a personal brand. Even if you're an employee, even if you're in the corporate ranks and you're trying to get up in that way. Because it's not so much just about establishing yourself as a trustworthy, hard worker person amongst your team or your bosses. You want to have that reputation outside of that sphere. And so thought leadership goes well beyond just being an entrepreneur. It's how you position yourself on LinkedIn. It's how you position yourself in your reputation, in your office and stuff like that too. But it's going to be really obvious to those of us building businesses as well. And this is what's going to quantum leap your career. Because instead of fighting and trying to prove yourself as like, I'm a competent coach or I'm a competent practitioner or hire me, I'm, a health expert or a functional this or whatever, you now, when you become the thought leader, it's just this obvious. It's obvious that the market would want to hire you first. It's obvious that you are the go-to. And so how do you go through that huge leap from just starting out to becoming a thought leader? Now, I consider myself a thought leader. Maybe I'm not at the scale that Tony Robbins is at yet, but I'm coming for him. But I am 100% own the identity of being a thought leader. I have written a book that's changed multiple thousands of people's lives. I have been on TV multiple times. I've been on over 300 podcasts. I've been on so many stages. I have developed my own methodology and teaching style and frameworks and philosophies. And I change lots of people's lives through that power. And I speak up about it. I'm very, very vocal with my podcast, with my email list, with my social media. And I feel like I've just scratched the surface. Like I cannot wait for 2026 because we have some really big goals, some really big plans for 2026. But I own the identity. I'm not waiting for Oprah to bless me. I'm not waiting to reach a certain milestone in my business to call myself a thought leader because the 5 or 6, actually, the 6 market signals that we're going to talk about today, that help position me as a thought leader. Now, some of these things are going to plant the seed. Some of them are going to be things that you can start working on today. And like I said, a lot of it makes sense whether you are an entrepreneur or an employee as well. And I am so excited to bring you this conversation because I am coming on the heels of just wrapping up my Thought Leader Mastermind live event, which we held in Los Angeles. So my Thought Leader Mastermind was born this year in January, and we've already held 2 rounds. And this is the program that helps service providers and coaches and practitioners like quantum leap into the next level of their career through thought leader positioning, increasing your sales, increasing your income, increasing your opportunities. And we're going to go over all the things that we teach in just a moment and the things that really help you position that way. But one of the most special things about it is that it includes a VIP weekend and a destination anywhere around the world. The first one was in Paris. You want to go back to my previous episodes about that because that was just such a dream come true, meeting all these thought leaders in Paris. But the one I just did this weekend was in Los Angeles. And I live nearby. I went to college in LA. LA is like the city of celebrity. It's the city of fame. It's the city of standing in the spotlight and claiming your name on the stage. And we did what was really special in this Thought Leader Mastermind. It was called the Keynote Speaker Edition. And not only did everyone put together a keynote speech and that we had multiple rehearsals and practice for, but we flew everyone out to Los Angeles to get on stage in an incredible production studio. Go check out my Instagram because I have incredible pictures and videos from it. And everyone shared their keynote speech while getting filmed in front of an audience. It was so freaking cool. And what I saw was that the women that joined the program, like the level that they're at versus what happened once they got off stage, like you could have fooled me, those were TED Talks. You could have fooled me, those were like opening speeches for huge conferences. I was so freaking impressed at the ability to bring your philosophy and your story and your message together in such a concrete way to share it on a stage like that. And so we did that incredible experience. Next, we went to dinner in Beverly Hills. It was all lit up for the holidays. So it was really, really special. Like, Rodeo Drive, Pretty Woman, that's where they filmed all that. And we were just walking around all these like really nice stores. We had a really great Mexican dinner and we popped some alcohol-free champagne. It was really, really fun. And the next day we did a tour of LA too, because it's more like I don't want to just have experiences where it's only teaching or business. Like I want to do life with these people. I love them. And it was such a cool experience to just tour LA together. And we went to Santa Monica and Hollywood and Beverly Hills, Griffith Observatory, the Grove, just drove all around. And we learned about like a lot where like different films were filmed and stuff like that. So it was such a highlight of my year. And I'm coming off of that high and that energy to share with you how you can position yourself as a thought leader. Now, if you want my help with this is one thing to know the information. It's another thing to implement it, right? Our next Thought Leader round starts at the end of January. This is my most intimate space that I have. This is where I go very, very deep. It's my formal mastermind to help position you as a thought leader to increase your income and your impact. And we go over multiple things in this mastermind, and I'm going to talk about them in some of these levers that you can pull right now. But the implementation of this stuff isn't something you do in just a month, right? Some of this stuff takes a long time. And being in a space where you're getting the accountability, you're getting the coaching, you're getting the trainings, you're getting the step-by-step is so important because it's the difference between actually doing it and just thinking about it, right? And so our spots in this program are really limited. I think at this point we are already 2/3 sold out and I haven't even opened it yet. Like it's not even for sale yet. So that was from private inquiries and some other past clients that kind of came in. So if you want to have one of the spots in our 2026 mastermind, I would love to invite you. It is by application only. So there is an application. You can get on the wait list if that is in the show notes, or we're already going to open the application. I'm not sure yet, but whichever one is in the show notes, you go do and fill out. And I'm so excited about our next location because we are going to Hawaii. We are going to Waikiki, Oahu. It is going to be such an incredible experience going to this tropical paradise together to mastermind and workshop our thought leadership careers and our identities. Plus, we're going to tour around Oahu, see the whole island, snorkel, all the good things with the timeless elegance of this beautiful, I love Waikiki. I love when you mix not only the Polynesian culture of Hawaii, But also, like Honolulu has a lot more of that Japanese influence as well, and a lot of that Asian influence of different eateries and stuff like that. Oh, I think Waikiki has this elegance to it, this like old 50s feel in the best way possible. I am so excited for this next one. And I don't know if you've noticed, I do a different location almost every single time. So when I went to Paris, like if you wanted to go to Paris, that was your shot. I don't know the next time we're going to go to Paris. I can't tell you. So if you want to go to Hawaii, this is their time to get your trip to Hawaii expensed as a business expense to mastermind and to do a deep immersion with the thought leader sisters that you are going to meet there. So either get on the wait list or submit an application. That's going to be in the show notes below. Okay, so without further ado, how to quantum leap your career by positioning yourself as a thought leader. Now, like I said, you don't have to wait to achieve some milestone in your company. You don't have to wait to achieve some milestone in your business. You can start signaling that you're a thought leader today. And this is how I would do that if I was starting from scratch. And these are 6 market signals that you can use starting today. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner. It doesn't matter if you have only worked with a few clients. You can start doing this right away. And I can share some stories about how I started doing this in my career and how all the things became easier. The selling became easier. Getting clients became easier. The opportunities came easier. Like, if I could write the holy grail of how to make entrepreneurship and business go faster for you and how to make more money in your business, it's thought leadership. It's thought leadership. It's so much easier to do this than to try to master an algorithm and to try to go viral. Like, this is where it is at, because this also holds that gravitas and that identity for you that makes people want to work with you. I mean, just think about it this way. If you had the chance to work with Tony Robbins when he first started his career, and it was very affordable and very accessible, would you not jump at the chance for that? And that's how you want people to feel about you. That's how you want people to feel about you, that you are a rising star and that they are lucky to get the opportunity to work with you now. And that's how you're going to position yourself as a thought leader as you continue growing in your career. Okay, so the first thing that thought leaders do, and again, think of the big names that you admire. Think of your Brendon Burchards and your Brene Browns and like whoever names you admire, right? Because those are people maybe I admire, but I want you to think of who's a thought leader to you. So most often, not always, but most often, thought leaders write books. And that is how you establish yourself as an expert. When you write a book, it is a whole nother level. Like, you have 20 coaches talking about self-love, but only one of them wrote a book about self-love. You better bet that the one that wrote the book about self-love is going to be deemed more of an expert on that topic and really consolidated all their information too, right? I mean, if you think about it, content creation means that if you're posting on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, your philosophy, and that's very important obviously, but your philosophy is spread out in like a million different little areas on the internet, right? And it's such a joy to find a thought leader and buy their book and get the whole condensed version in that 200 to 300 pages, right? And that's really, I think, what sets apart, ordinary coaches, ordinary service providers is people who write a book. And it's uncanny, but 82% of Americans want to write a book. 1% actually does. Who writes books? Thought leaders, right? It's so simple. Now, obviously, a book takes a lot of time. So you're probably not going to write a book overnight. You're not going to write a book even necessarily in 6 months. Like, that might be a very rushed book. And so this is a process that takes a lot of time. A lot of people don't know how to write a book. They don't know how to get a publisher. They don't know how to get an agent. They don't know if they should self-publish or traditionally publish. So that is a big thing I cover in my Thought Leader Mastermind, depending on what is appropriate for you and what you really want to do. But it is so worth it, to know that like my work in the alcohol-free space isn't scattered all over the internet. It is consolidated in a book, in my philosophy, and even like 50 years from now, someone can buy that book and still be transformed by that work. That is legacy right there. That is almost even immortality right there. And I'm so excited for my next book to come out, which might not be tomorrow, right? Because it's a beautiful work. It's an opus. It's taking me some time to write it, but I swear by the power of books. Also, books are so much more effective at building the know, like, and trust factor with your ideal clients than almost any other manner. So even masterminds and workshops and all that kind of stuff, they're amazing, but people might not trust them as much as a book. So do those too, but a book nurtures almost better than anything else you could do. Like, I don't know about you, but almost every book I've ever read if I hear anecdotes and stories about the author, I will remember those for the rest of my life. I remember those little things about the authors that I've read. Like I remember when Brené Brown was talking about shame and she was talking about swimming laps with her husband and getting in a little fight. Like I will always remember that, right? Because the authors live on in your mind. So it's a really, really powerful tome of work for you to do. Thought leaders, for number 2, they also really democratize their work, not just in the format of a book, but also on stages. And when you see someone speaking on stages versus someone not speaking on stages, you already come to some kind of internal assumptions about them and their leadership and their expertise, right? Like you're going to deem someone who's speaking on stages as more advanced, even if they're a beginner. It's just the way it is, right? Because that holds a lot of power and that holds a lot of leadership. Now, again, people wait and they wait for someone to tap them on the shoulder and invite them onto a stage. And that is the opposite of what a thought leader does. Like a thought leader creates their own stage, right? And they pitch themselves to stages and they go live on Instagram and they polish themselves as speakers and their philosophies and their messages well before they have the formal TED Talk, right? And I think it's really fun because in my like in our first rounds of the Thought Leader Mastermind, so many people got speaking opportunities for people who weren't speaking before that, who got opportunities to speak at different events and workshops or hosted their own thing, which was really, really cool. And I just love the power of public speaking because you could, you're trying to reach someone online. They have like a million tabs open. They're running around in their day. But when you're like reaching someone on the power of a stage, they're captivated, hopefully. Hopefully they're not on their phone, right? And there's been moments in my life where I've heard someone speak on stage that changed my life more than any other thing could have in that amount of time. Because I was captivated and I really took away some huge ahas and some huge breakthroughs, right? And I remember that person forever. I'm going to remember a coach or a content creator or an expert that I saw speaking way more than someone who I just saw a few reels. So if you're ever kind of annoyed with just the online noise and, I'm not saying get off online, like obviously do the thing that's going to grow your business and be a thought leader in all places. But if you're ever annoyed that it's just taking really slowly and the algorithm and this and that, like get into the real world. And that's what like a book and speaking on stages can often do very effectively. And even if you're an employee, volunteer to be a moderator of panels, right? Like be the opening person who introduces people at conferences or stuff like that, or volunteer to speak up at meetings and stuff. Like these principles don't just work for entrepreneurship, they work for any instance as well. Because thought leadership is how you define yourself in your career as someone who knows what they're talking about and someone who can help people change their lives. So the next one that you want to think about is that thought leaders also host in-person experiences. Again, there's a huge theme with a lot of these points where like we're getting off away from the online space only, and we're getting more involved in the real world. And when you think of thought leaders like Tony Robbins, he's not just a viral reel creator, he has 10,000 people come to his conferences every year, right? And that was a big one for me too, because, when I first started, I didn't have a book and I wasn't speaking on stages yet, but I hosted an event like in my first year in my business. And it was terrifying. And I didn't know if people would come. And I did it with some other friends too. And it totally up-leveled my leadership. And then I started hosting retreats and I started hosting immersion weekends and VIP weekends and seminars and all this kind of stuff. And it has grown me so much because not only am I speaking on my own stage, but I'm also getting to that level of leadership where I'm bringing people together in a really special way. And so that's amazing. Like I have coaches who are just getting certified in my 5X certification program who are already hosting day-long retreats and are inviting people, to workshops and doing events like that. And I think that's already a step up into your career, into your leadership. Obviously, it can be retreats, it can be like day-long workshops, it can be seminars, it can be so many things. And this also gets you an opportunity to speak on your own stage, which you'll get the footage of, which again, makes you look like a thought leader. And it's not just this trickery, you are. Like you spoke on stage, you hosted an event, you brought people together. It really does up-level your career in the next space. Okay, the next one, a thought leader, number 4. A thought leader doesn't just parrot what everyone else said before them. And this is how you can often tell when someone's a beginner in their trade, whether it's like a coach or another practitioner. They're often parroting what every other person said before them to look legitimate. And this is where that thought leadership divide happens, where you make your own philosophy, you make your own methodology, you disrupt the industry. And all of a sudden, people are not just hearing the same thing over and over and over again, they're hearing something new from you. And obviously, it can take a time, like if you're just starting your career in your business, your coaching or whatnot, it can start to take time to just even develop those ideas for yourself. But sometimes they're there from the start and you're just too scared to share them because they're so different from what other people are sharing. So if you have opinions or if you know advice or if you know have a certain philosophy or a certain way of speaking about something that's maybe different from what you've heard of other people in your industry, be the disruptor, be the innovator, and create your own methodology around it, right? Like be known for your own work instead of just parroting what other people said. Now, obviously, we are all an amalgam of everything that's come before us. Like a lot of the philosophy and the content I share is from other people that I've learned, put together in different ways, and then it marinates differently through my life experiences. But there's also some things that I completely disagree with and I completely disrupt and I completely have a new way of speaking about as well. So don't be afraid to share that stuff. Don't be afraid to create your own methodology, your own language. Even speaking differently with words can be effective as a way to disrupt that. So that is another one. Okay, the fifth one is thought leaders become famous from the micro fame method. Now, we are not talking about Kim Kardashian famous. We're not talking about losing your privacy and getting stalked on the streets. We are talking about becoming famous in your field, in your niche. And the way that you do that is that you become really prolific. And so, yes, we use all the online channels, whether it's the Instagram or the LinkedIn or the Substacks or whatnot. But the microfame method means that you can also start to leverage other people's audiences and start getting featured in their podcasts, getting featured in their masterminds, in their group programs, and stuff like that. And so, what happens is that for your ideal client, you start to become like omnipresent because you're showing up everywhere. And so, even though you're not technically famous by celebrity standards, and honestly, who wants to be when you completely do lose privacy and you're getting like stalked? Like, I don't think anyone wants to be that famous, right? You just want to be reputable. You want to have a reputation. You want to have fame in your own industry, right? That's the dream. And so it's like you can still go to the grocery store, but you're well known in your own field. That's how you do that through the micro fame method, which is really important. And the last one I want to touch on is that thought leaders master the art of selling, and they especially master the art of subconscious selling. Because here's the thing, I can write a book that wants to, hopefully change a lot of people's lives. I can speak on stages. I can, put a lot of my philosophy and my information out there into the world. But if I don't have a process to actually walk people through the transformation, like information's one thing, implementation's something different. And implementation is where we sell because you can't not sell to someone if you want them to change their lives through an implementation process. You'd probably walk them through it. You'd be their coach, or you'd guide them through a group program, or you'd guide them through a course or some kind of process that you have. And that is something that if you give it away for free, people wouldn't even implement it anyway, right? Because we only value the things that we actually have that skin in the game for anyway. So it's important if we want to be people who make a huge impact, who change a lot of people's lives, that it's not just sharing information with the world. We also have to have implementation processes to actually help people do the damn thing. And that's where selling comes so critically. And so I know a lot of women have this really iffy relationship with selling. They have an iffy relationship, like they want to help people change their lives, but they don't want to sell. They want their book to be all over the world, but they don't want to sell their book. You know what I mean? And when you think of selling, it's not just selling your coaching or selling your service or selling this multiple $1,000 thing. It's also selling the idea, right? You have to sell the idea. You even have to sell free things. You got to sell your podcast. You have to sell your book. You have to sell even these things that are either free or low ticket. And so mastering the art of subconscious selling is where you wrap it all together so that you're not just out there in the world becoming famous for fame's sake. You're actually providing the transformation that people need to have these incredible breakthroughs, these incredible, A to Z kind of experiences. And we do that through subconscious selling, which is so important because everybody wants to change. You're not selling something that people don't want. They already want the thing, right? but we're tapping into the subconscious in a way that uses the power of story to show that, hey, I've been in your shoes and I changed my life, and here's what I did, and here's how I can help you do it too. And in that way, selling becomes an act of love. Selling becomes an act of service because you're helping people actually implement this stuff. And I have this really incredible mentor who just once said she shared her entire philosophy on how to build a seven-figure business in her book. And she didn't like leave anything out. She put it all in there, but she knows that most people cannot implement all of that from a book. They need a mentor, they need a coach, they need more workshops, they need more trainings, they need more coaching, they need hot seats, they need more time to marinate and to develop all that kind of stuff. So she also sells a mastermind program that goes over the same thing that she talks about in the book, but way, way deeper, right? And her impact is so much bigger because if she just had the book but wasn't selling the program, the lives, like the information would be out there, but the lives, the depth of the lives being changed wouldn't be as effective. It really, really wouldn't. And so we need to change our relationship with selling. And even if you're an employee, you need to learn how to sell yourself too for your next promotion, for your next job, for the next opportunity, right? Like selling is so important. And it pains me that especially women have such a weird relationship with it compared to men. Like we are so grossed out by it that we just kind of like omit it from our lives instead of actually learning it and mastering it and using it for our benefit and the world's benefit. Because I bet you're not listening to this episode and you sell like horrible chemicals that like kill the world and wildlife, right? Like that's not what you're using this for. I'm almost 100% certain that if you're listening to this episode, whatever it is that you're selling helps people change their lives, helps people profoundly have different experiences, more self-love, more confidence, less bad habits, more incredible belief in themselves. Like in whatever niche you're in, whatever domain you're in, you are here to help people at the end of the day. And so when you put these 6 things together, especially, and they take time, right? That's why my Thought Leadership Mastermind isn't just 1 month, it is a 6-month experience. And most people re-sign and continue going because, writing a book is not something you do overnight. When you put this all together, you will watch your career skyrocket. You will watch you like completely go out of the water compared to your peers, right? And again, I just want to remind you, this isn't something you focus on once you're already advanced and you're already the expert. I got a 6-figure book deal when I had less than 5,000 followers on Instagram. I positioned myself even when I had no idea what I was doing. I spent maybe a year or two trying to be an ordinary coach and just saw that it's not working. I'm not getting sales. I'm not changing as many lives. And then I started learning and downloading some of this information on how to position myself like a thought leader. And that's where everything took off for me. And that's why it is such a dream to show this to other people. Now, the Thought Leader Mastermind, the way we positioned it is that it is meant for you once you already have the foundation set up in your business. So if you have no business whatsoever, I do recommend you get started with my 5X certification program. That is where we teach the foundations. If you've never worked with like a client, you've never made a sale in your company, it's probably good to start there because that is going to teach you how to lay down the marketing foundations of really growing to 6 figures. Now, obviously you don't have to be at 6 figures yet, but you want the foundations. You want to understand the language of online marketing. You want to understand how to launch and how to run ads and all that kind of stuff. Then we take it a step further in my Thought Leader Mastermind. So if you've already done the 5X certification program, this is a perfect program for you. I am so freaking excited about Hawaii. And I just got on a call with my thought leaders of this round, and we just got back from LA, and I cried. Another one of my clients cried just to see like how much progress they've made in the last year, how different their lives are. And especially when you go back to how different their lives were compared to when they were drinking, to now being leaders, getting on stages, writing books, getting speaking opportunities, getting asked to be on podcasts, signing clients, and really owning their identity as a thought leader. It's magical. And like a reason why I do this work is that I know how many lives they're changing because of it, because they stepped up to the plate, because they're not going to let their fear or the excuses of I'm not ready, I'm not advanced enough, I haven't done this, I haven't done that yet, hold them back. You can start acting like a thought leader today. And again, I think this applies whether you are an entrepreneur or not. And it has such a level of meaning and purpose behind it because your willingness to do these things that scare you, trust me, all of these things are scary. All of them scared the shit out of me when I first started, and they still scare me. They still scare me to this day, certain things. I'm so scared about my second book. I am scared to get on bigger stages. I am scared to really go bigger and launch plans and stuff like that. Like all of these things, the fears don't necessarily go away. But the level of leadership that you show when you say, I'm willing to face the fears, I'm willing to do things before I'm ready because I'm here to help people. That's my purpose on this planet. And I'm not going to hide under a rock anymore. I'm going to become visible. I'm going to explode. Again, I just got off a call with my thought leaders, and that was one of the women's word for the year for 2026. Explode. Like, hell yes, let's go to the moon. And the cool wins that happen from the books that get written, the stages that people get on. We have people going up to their publishers, their book proposals are done. And if you want to self publish, that's one process. But I also help people who want to traditionally publish, right? And that's a whole other process. That's so hard to learn. I spent probably $45,000 learning everything I could about publishing a book, getting a publisher, launching a book, all that kind of stuff. And I want to give that all to you at a much lower price point where you also position yourself as a thought leader and get on those stages and sell out your offers and your programs and sign those clients because it all weaves back together at the end of the day. So, like I said, if this is something that interests you, be sure to either get on the waitlist or submit an application, whatever we have in the show notes below. We start at the end of January, but our class is already filling up. We only have around a dozen spots, and I don't really make exceptions to that. So once the spots are sold out, they're just sold out, and you'll have to wait for another round, and you won't be going to Hawaii because that's not where we're going next. So you want to get in on Hawaii. You want to be positioning yourself as a thought leader. This is the space to get into. And if you haven't launched a business yet, if you are, you got an interest and this is something that you want to do in 2026, I highly recommend you sign up for the 5X certification program. We also have a wait list for that and we'll start in May, but applications will already open probably in like March, maybe even February. So you want to make sure you get in as early as possible for the best like bonuses and pricing and all that kind of good stuff too. All right, guys, I'm excited for our next few episodes coming up. I want to close out the year with you. I want to have really big intentions for 2026. We're going to do a whole series on dry January too, which is going to be really fun. So stay tuned for that. Really bringing back all the mindset hacks, like all the way you can completely lose your desire to drink this January. So if you're more interested in the alcohol-free content, make sure you're tuned in for all those episodes that are coming to you next. Thank you to all the thought leaders that I've already had in these beautiful container. Like you mean the world to me. And it's just so cool to see you on that stage. It's so cool to see you sell out your offers. It's so cool to see and read your book proposals. It's been just the honor of my lifetime to support you with that. And to my 5X certified coaches who haven't done the thought leader yet, I think it's your next step. I think you're going to really love this space and really see your life and your business explode in it. All right, my loves, we'll see you in the next episode.